I saw Tim Miller was on the show yesterday, and he referred to the fact-based community. I still think the show, that's a good way to describe the show. It's part of the fact-based community in America.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back for this week's edition of Wacky Moments of Leftist Extremism. I'm your resident samurai, Jonah Lackey, filling in once again for Eric Shiner. Really quick, if you're on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and if you're on Rumble where they don't censor us, hit that plus button. Those are the best ways to make sure these videos reach more people. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and if you like the work we do here at the MRC, please consider donating at mrc.org/donate. Since we are a nonprofit, we couldn't keep these videos coming without support from viewers like you. With all that out of the way, let's get into it. As the public is gripped by the possibilities of intelligence outside of our own planet, it can be easy to forget that here on Earth, there is very little intelligence to be found. Case in point, our old friend Whoopi Goldberg had this to say on the mounting case against the Biden family.
To impeach Trump.
Yeah. What bribery scam? Yes. But I'm sorry. It's so different every day. I mean, they're either freaking out about Barbie or they're upset about, Budweiser beer and
just Bud Light.
Just
Bud Light.
Bud Light. Okay. Now,
we don't
right? That's right. You don't want the wrong thing to get out. Yeah. But I mean, what is really happening here? I mean, how much punishment does Biden need because he won and they lost?
Well, she's right. What scandal? Bank statements? I've never heard of those. Whistleblower testimony? That doesn't exist. All Joe Biden did was love his son too much.
Hunter Biden is a favorite target of Republicans in the House, Republicans from the Trump wing of the party and others. What accusations and arguments do you think they're going to make, given this didn't go exactly as planned today?
Well, they're going to keep doing what they've been doing. They are going to try to indict a father for loving his son who has been addicted to drugs and or alcohol, and without evidence of the father doing anything other than loving that son.
There's no evidence. How many times do we have to say it? All Biden did was love his son. And, well, allegedly lie under oath, accept bribes, peddle his influence, pass money around with foreign agents, and gave his son special treatment despite causing the racially motivated war on drugs. But he did all that because he loves his son, you heartless loons. You would have done the same, I'm sure. As the Biden investigation continues, the media took a break from not talking about it to shame all the Republicans for refusing to let the Hunter Biden story go.
It's a moment that's the culmination of a years-long federal investigation, a painful reminder of a dark chapter in the Biden family, and the latest scene in a lurid national scandal the Republicans promise is far from over.
President Biden is continuing to stand by his son. He has repeatedly said that he is proud of him, even saying that he has done nothing wrong. Republicans are making it clear they are not satisfied. They are calling on the judge to block that plea deal, insisting they will continue on with their investigations into claims that the president has used his political career to personally benefit, enrich, and protect his family. So far, they have been not able to prove any evidence here of wrongdoing.
Republicans not ready to move on. They are still aggressively pursuing an investigation into the younger Biden's business practices, and last week presented 2 IRS agents who claim he was given preferential treatment by the IRS and Department of Justice. But his son's legal issues continue to be a political distraction for the president. And back in Washington, House GOP members continue to try and link Hunter's business dealings to the president, though they have yet to produce any concrete evidence.
Yes, because you guys are just the masters of letting things go once all the evidence dries up. You never mention January 6th, which happened over 2 years ago, mind you. I never hear you guys talk about Trump-Russia anymore because once all the evidence dried up, you all moved on, right, Adam Schiff? Right? Speaking of Trump, MSNBC rolled out everyone's favorite race hustler, Al Sharpton, to remind us of the real reason people voted for him.
I think the reason it's not borne out is that we are misreading why they support Donald Trump. Donald Trump has hit a nerve, a feeling that was always there, because he preserves this old notion they have of supremacy of blacks, of women, of gays, and that's more important to them than having him a literal crime boss. You know, one of the tabloids in New York calls Biden the crime boss. It was Trump that had a crime attorney.
Oh, darn those racist Republicans. There can't possibly be any reason someone would support people you don't agree with. You're all just racist, sexist, homophobic, supremacists. The trifecta. And you can trust MSNBC because they're home to the facts.
How do we convince people, normal people, that Rudy Giuliani is going to skate on something like this with really no penalty paid, and yet the system isn't rigged? We're going to tell people the system isn't rigged for the wealthy and the connected? How do we do that?
I mean, the way I look at it, Mike, I saw Tim Miller was on the show yesterday, and he referred to the fact-based community. I still think the show, that's a good way to describe the show. It's part of the fact-based community in America.
That's a great way to describe this show. Part of the fact-based community. I don't know about you, but the first thing I think of when I hear Morning Joe is fact-based reporting. I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but going off of this show's thumbnails alone, I would beg to differ. One fact that's becoming increasingly harder for the networks to ignore is the symbiotic relationship between big tech and the censorious snakes in the Biden administration. As of the recording of this video, Representative Jim Jordan has just released the Facebook files, and before that, we had this lovely tidbit from one of Meta's own executives.
Over 95% of our users are outside the United States, and we have elections every single month in many different parts of the world. So it's not as if we only ever have to prepare ourselves for the US election. We have teams, we have highly sophisticated automated models, which are working to deal with elections non-stop, all year round, month in, month out. And with each election, we learn more because it's a very adversarial space. So I do think we're getting better. We have constant practice in doing this. We have made massive investments, I think world-beating and certainly industry-leading technology to deal with misinformation, disinformation, and so on. We give users as much information as we possibly can. And as I said earlier, it doesn't really matter from our point of view whether the material, if it's unwelcome and we want to block it or restrict it, is produced by a machine or a human being. We will try and tackle it.
Well, you heard it here. It doesn't matter if it's Russian bots or your conservative grandma. The practice censors at Standards and Practices will be there, ban hammers in hand. I guess Mark Zuckerberg left his sense of basic morality at the cleaners with his hoodie and flip-flops. Finally, we'll end it with a wild one. MSNBC this past week decided to invoke 9/11 to suggest we need a new Patriot Act to fight right-wing extremism.
I wouldn't dismiss it as just something that only people on the right or watching Fox News can latch onto. I mean, we're in a battle for hearts and minds. And there are people who are on the fence. You've got to have leaders and messages and messengers and programs that get to those people, that bring them over into community organizing and into nonprofit organizations and away from the Patriot Front and the Oath Keepers. And I think the parallels with 9/11 are important. We've talked about this before. After 9/11, the laws didn't work. Like, they made massive changes to respond to a new threat. And I think we have to face the fact that many of our structures, laws, and policies may not work. After 9/11, we created the Department of Homeland Security. There was the Patriot Act. There was massive change in our entire society to face the number one threat, or at least what was communicated as the number one threat. I think we need the same kind of tectonic shift.
I hate to say it, but I have to agree. There's just so many important parallels between violent Islamic terrorists flying airplanes into buildings, killing themselves along with hundreds of others, and people who wear MAGA hats. Here's a fun idea. Why don't you go spend a week in Saudi Arabia, then spend a week in South Carolina? You'll find out real quick who the real extremists are. That's all I have for you this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit like on YouTube, hit plus on Rumble, follow us on social media, and comment below what you think. I love reading the comments, even the mean ones. Enjoy the weekend, and don't cave to the leftist media agenda.